We're on a journey, looking back on the things that we've taken for granted, but feels like we're learning to be better without what's been holding us back now. Let's move closer to a new history, find out what we can be together. Take my hand and we will conquer the world. This is our final chance. 'Cause one day we'll be looking back at this. We were in a big mess together. But we found a way to choose right from wrong. We found the strength to go on together. To go on together. Yeah. To go on together. To go on together. Moonlight and fire, dancing closely together and staying forever young. What about you and I then? Can we two find a way to align with each other? Let's move closer to a new history, find out what we can be together. Take my hand and we will conquer the world. This is our final chance.
Welcome everyone to this bright and beautiful morning here in the UK and wherever it is in the world for you, welcome. We have Mary Rodwell just up shortly giving her presentation for the Bringers of Light. For those that don't know about Mary Rodwell so well, she's the founder and principal of the Australian Close Encounter Resource Network and co-founder and director of the Dr. Edgar Mitchell Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters. You definitely need your teeth in for that one. You can just abbreviate that to free. She was a former nurse, midwife, counsellor, hypnotherapist, Reiki master, international speaker and researcher. She's written several books which you can find out more about on her website or by Googling. And she's now currently working with people that have had multidimensional experiences, particularly families and young people and children. And it's through her research and her experience that she has amassed an amazing amount of fascinating knowledge and experiences which she will share with you in the presentation. So we're really excited to be hosting this talk. Mary has been on the Multidimensional show before as an interviewee and as a speaker at one of our conferences, so it's lovely to welcome her back again. We have a lineup of other speakers throughout the week. We also have Ray Hernandez, who is a well-known speaker and writer in his own right, worked in the Free Foundation and worked with Mary closely. He'll be talking tomorrow at 7:30, that's BST UK time. And then we have Deb Shakti talking on Friday at 7:30, again UK time, in the evening. And she'll be talking about herself and channeling the star teachers. So we've got an exciting lineup, and then it's ended on Saturday in Wiltshire on Nap Hill, where we're doing the UK largest C5, or that is the hope. So if you can join us, or if you want to join us remotely, please do. We'll be live streaming. Welcome people from all around the world. I see that Joe is from Australia. We have Michael from Queensland, Australia, Rob from the UK, James Rose. I see we know James, you're in the UK as well, aren't you? There's a few people on the call already, and we have some people watching the live stream on YouTube, so that's great. Just leaves me to say thank you for those people that have donated. It's greatly appreciated. It helps us to keep going, make this sustainable and to grow. And our next target is to buy some night vision equipment, which hopefully we can get by Saturday, so we can actually show some of the sky. So yeah, if anybody wishes to donate and support this latest fundraiser, you are very welcome to. I'll just put the URL in the chat there for everyone to see. But regardless, thank you for joining us, and do enjoy this amazing presentation. We'll see you at the end. Bye for now.
Hello everyone. Hello everyone. This presentation is about the research that I've done over the last 25 years in terms of how contact occurs. And what is fascinating is not just how it occurs, but how understanding from many of those that are having contact is different forms of awareness of being what they believe to be as hybrid humans. My presentation really is looking at the evidence of the hybridization of humanity. The new human and hybrid humans, and our awakening as a species to contact with non-human intelligences. This is a wonderful image painting by an experiencer called Lord Canning. It's showing very clearly his awareness and his understanding that we've been visited by many different intelligences in the past, which continues to today. I think this in itself is confirming what molecular biologist Dr. Francis Crick, who was co-founder of the DNA molecule. The ancestors, who are they and who are we? For life to form by chance, he said, is mathematically virtually impossible. The immensity of complex coded and precisely sequenced information is absolutely staggering. The DNA evidence speaks of intelligent, information-bearing design. He believes they programmed the molecules so that when we reached a certain level of intelligence, we would be able to access their information and they could therefore teach us about ourselves. I believe this is the time where that is now happening, that we are actually finding out more about who we are. He believes as they program the DNA so that at some evolutionary point, we would access that information that would teach us. Does this mean we'll understand our hybridization or something even more profound? I believe it may be both. In the free surveys, that Dr. Edgar Mitchell free surveys, 26% of those gained information about the upgrading of human DNA. And this is 4,200 individuals globally that filled in that survey. Over the centuries, it has been clear that there have been many greatly hidden information about who and what we are. Here, I believe, is absolute evidence that there have been various members of humanity that weren't totally human or Homo sapiens. This is one of them, Akhenaten, who appears to be either one of the beings that visited us or a human hybrid. Here it is saying that Akhenaten's DNA suggests a higher cranial capacity because of the need to house a larger cortex. And these are skulls, similar shaped skulls found around the globe, and are certainly indicating that there's been more than one type of humanity over the centuries. Here we have some more images of that from giants. Many skeletons of giants have been found. Information about different technologies have been made evident, etc. But for me, what was fascinating was the information that many of those having experiences are aware of. And Tracy Taylor says it quite beautifully here. One night I had this intense feeling before sleep. I wrote in a process where I had little control, something beyond my present understanding. It was contrary to everything I'd been taught. It said the human race had been created by extraterrestrials, contained information about genetic manipulation of human and extraterrestrial DNA to create another species. Certainly indigenous Australians and those indigenous from around the globe are aware of being visited by the star beings. It's mentioned in all their cultures and mythology. This one is particularly fascinating. The drawing itself, the painting itself, is explaining what she understood, this Aboriginal artist understood about the beings that visited Australia. The planet, she said, are half a day's journey. The beings are friendly, just watch the Aboriginal way of life. They have no guns, spears or weapons. The air on their planet is food. Their green uniforms protect them from Earth diseases. The space people speak all languages. The elders say the space people showed them how to grow food, find water, and how to use amethyst stones for healing, which is quite fascinating. So here we have real understanding of the visits over the centuries of these intelligences and where they came from. But what's also fascinating is many of those that I speak to that have had experiences, both adults and children, are being told about this, if we'd like to call it genetic engineering of species, not just on planet Earth, but elsewhere. One of them is Jo Cheval Iskra in Australia, who told me that she was she connected in 2018 with the tall mantis and benevolent reptilians. They took her to a massive lab built inside a cave-like structure. There were thousands of incubators with hybrids in them. The mantis told me that they, the mantis, were the keepers of the universe. They had blueprints and DNA for every species that had ever existed, including extinct species on our planet. They populate planets with life forms throughout the universe. They said they were proficient at genetically modifying humans and saw their roles as master geneticists. The children also give us information on this subject. So, upgrading DNA. This young teenager, 13-year-old from Canada, drew this picture of one of the beings. He said, I felt these beings were like scientists and were curious about us. I was told that it was something to do with genetics. And in our surveys, the free surveys, 25.80% were given information about upgrading of human DNA. Is this what we call the awakening? Certainly, it seems that we are understanding more about how we are being activated and how we are coming to understand our place in this cosmos. The Dr. Edgar Mitchell Foundation for Extraordinary Experiences found something very fascinating, and this is out of 4,200 people, over 700 questions. And we have found now why it has been so challenging for ufology is because we're looking at something that is talking about consciousness, not just physical encounters. 25% of encounters are physical, but 75% appear to be non-physical. And that is the conundrum. This is the difficulty for qualifying it in the way that we would like to, in a more tangible way. Let me explain from a 9-year-old who had this experience. When I'm visited by the beings with black eyes and grey skin, they surround my bed and come out of a portal. They are part of a science team. He was aware the taller aliens, he said, had an IQ of 400, a lifespan much longer than humans, and if they cut themselves, apparently it heals automatically. But he talked about his head started to feel funny and then vibrated, and his soul went up through his head, and he could go anywhere in the universe. It's very significant in explaining the out-of-body experiences. So what is the key to unlocking our awareness, our DNA? Nikola Tesla mentions it's all about frequency and vibration. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So is that the key to activating human DNA, the dormant DNA that so many geneticists talk about, which made up 95% of our DNA was so-called junk or dormant DNA? Well, Dr. Lena Olson, a molecular biologist, explains very clearly here. The information of the donors and their background is there, a hidden key, and like PC programmers hide their work, the key can be activated. The programmers know the person is ready to be contacted. The activated ones spread a signal to wake the others up. She said, I feel they are speeding this up, and certainly the evidence of my research is saying exactly the same thing. Dr. Marie Batchelor, who stories in my book, The New Human, is a medical doctor who went to India and had her activation in India, and it changed her life. She now is aware that she is what she calls a DNA galactic rewirer. DNA upgrades and activations through a galactic connection. She said, I feel we're changing from carbon-based to crystalline. DNA is changed by frequency. It comes through her hands, her voice, and through light language. She also states that people don't realize the matrix is galactic. The gods of old religions are really multidimensional galactic beings. In terms of herself now, from that activation, she says, I feel I've become a modern shaman who better than one who trained in 3D. I can activate the blueprint of my DNA and my patient's DNA, splicing their DNA using energy and frequency. The new DNA looks golden as this is inserted. The rest of the DNA lights up for abilities. I believe the new children are already activated. Contact. So how does contact happen? It's a visual for some, through a sighting of a craft, which activates this curiosity, and also often with the sightings comes an activation in itself, or contact. It can be energetic, it can come through music, scripts, language, healing, plus encounters with non-human intelligences. A significant account from a young man who was just 11 when he had experiences with the beings. And this is what he said. He was sleeping when this being came. He said they seemed to be good, short, light grey, big head, small slit for a mouth and big black eyes. He said he was lifted up to the ceiling and blacked out. He woke in a dome-shaped craft, and the beings around the control panel type desk where they would be communicating in another language telepathically, but he could hear them. He said he focused on the control panel, hearing sounds, and he felt were altering his DNA. Afterwards, this became the first of the second 5 songs. Decoding Human DNA was the title of the song, the first of 5 songs completed within 3 days. All of these were given to him, and he asked his mother to record them because they were part of this activation. Many are activated through spiritual experiences, from Orbs of Light, or screen memories, which may be owls outside your bedroom window, which are screens, or clowns, or as I say, owls. This image to the right of an owl is actually where the lady saw an owl to begin with, and then it became a grey. The Orbs of Light consciousness can often be the way someone is activated. And today I'm going to be talking about this type of experience as well, because not all will see the beings or be aware of the beings in a humanoid or other form. They may just come as a being of light or an orb of light. It is significant that more and more in videos and in photographs, people are seeing these orbs, many coloured orbs. And there's been a lot of skepticism about them being dust or being water droplets and what have you. The Orb Project was a scientific study, and one of those involved in it, Klaus Heinemann, is a physicist. And the conclusions were pretty what's the word I can use? Confirming or affirming to those that have a sense and know their experiences with these orbs. If the orb is an emanation from a spirit being, it does not take much of a stretch of imagination to think that the spirit being from which it emanates entirely controls its mobility, appearance, and so on. The conclusions that spirit beings are all around us, capable of changing their size and location quickly, highly evolved and intelligent. So many of the orbs that we're seeing, without question, are intelligent and appear to have a consciousness, and may very well indicate what we look like when we're out of body. A 9-year-old explained his awareness of this when he connects to what he calls his spiritual home. He connects through spirit. He doesn't talk through human in his mind, but speaks his spiritual language, light language. He says it through his soul. Through my mind and soul mixed together, I can talk to other souls like mine. That's how I connect to my real home. I also have a home where I really belong. I can see it with my eyes closed. I see it through other people. I go out of my body to protect other children from negative beings. All of this awareness in a 9-year-old. This 9-year-old, a young girl called Kathy, said, "The beings are located at the edge of the universe in the white light. The light orb is sent to protect us. My little brother has a blue orb that protects him." And I actually saw video of a blue orb circling this little toddler. Very similar to what you're seeing on the screen. Here is more of the unusual side of orbs. I love these pictures, and Ruth Perry was kind enough to send them to me. They're ones that she's taken. She told me she saw spirits when she was 10, last 9 years, taken orbs, seen many of these orbs with naked eye. She said, "I felt quite safe and part of them. I believe they show themselves to me with love and for learning." What's fascinating is this is an orb that's on the move. You've got one actually embedded in the screen of the television. And here's another one of strange phenomena where all these orbs are overlaying an image of this singer who is Guy Sebastian. For those in Australia know him quite well. Communication then, is the communication with orbs? Is there something going on apart from seeing this white light? I believe there's a great deal going on, and I want to just give you an indication of why I came to that conclusion. You will see an orb moving here that goes actually outside. There's the orb. It's moving and then ends up going outside. And it continues to morph, change. As I've slowed it down 50%, you can see there's a lot going on there. So let me explain through some pictures what exactly I believe is going on. As I looked at it frame by frame, I was quite fascinated at this movement and these other orbs coming in and moving around it. There's a red one there and what have you. So much going on that we're not seeing with our physical eyes, through the physical spectrum. And as I slowed it down even more frame by frame, I started to notice all these frequencies. And that fascinated me. So what is going on with these frequencies? Are they communication? What are those frequencies and what are they doing? Interestingly, at the same time, I was contacted by Valerie Barrow, who's author and channel, and she sent me some of her Skype hypnosis and healing and meditation. This is a meditation going on with Maria, who kindly allowed us to show these. And here you see, again, similar frequencies as Valerie is doing the meditation with Maria. Valerie is in contact and has written some wonderful books, as you can see to the left here, of our origins. So she's an amazing channel. But here we have similar frequencies going on. So what's actually going on here? Similar with another lady, sound and frequency. This was a healing. And in this session, some strange sounds heard by Valerie as she facilitated the session with Carolina. Listen to the sounds. what is going on? I believe we're getting an indicator now of far more than just a first sighting. Another wonderful book by Valerie. And again, here is another one, picture of hypnosis with one of her clients. Again, there are the frequencies. So we take that to another level now with this wonderful account from Jimmy Jones, who was a former captain in the US Army. He's now retired. And this is his story about his first encounter in 2018. He was struck by a beam of blue light from space, gave me the secret of light and direct connection to the Akashic records, and since then has downloaded some amazing books. But here is his story.
I can't describe the beauty that was coming off of this light. I was like, what is that beauty, that blue light, right? It was sitting nestled in between two hills. And Jess is the first one that pointed it out. She was the first one to see it. And our exit, it was a mountain exit 264. And it actually backtracked back to the blue light after we got off the interstate. And as we passed that blue light, I heard something say, and I was driving, I heard something say, here he comes. I heard plain as day, right? Like telepathically, here he comes. And I turned to Vanessa and I said, did you hear that? And immediately after, the best way I can describe it is that we went through like a time wave, just like a wall, and it slowed down, a warble, yeah, it's just like a microsecond of, and then back into normal. And
yeah,
we were driving along. We got back to the house, and I told Vanessa, I said, Vanessa, we got back, we were going to lay in bed. And I said, Vanessa, I think that light did something to me, right? And sure enough, and I'm not trying to be too dramatic. I'm just dramatic. I'm a Southern kid, so I'm a little dramatic. So, but yeah, but we got back and a beam of blue light in our bedroom, a beam of light coming from space, shot into our bedroom. And I looked over at Vanessa. We just got in bed, and I said, "Did you see that?" And she said, yes. And as soon as she said yes, a second beam came through from space. And we have a beautiful view of heavens. Beautiful view of heavens out here. Nice big picture windows. And it came through. Then an orb of electromagnetic, a ball. Like an electromagnetic orb, a ball lightning. Right? Manifested in a corner outside of our bedroom. The wall disappeared, and we could see this ball of orb light. It was just an orb of lightning, just sitting like a star, right? Just like a star. Excuse me.
And that
was crazy, right?
All the one, and you saw this orb outside.
That's correct. That's correct. Through where the wall would be, it was just an image. It was just a faded image. It just faded out with the light around it, and yeah, it was just like there was nothing there. It was just atomic bomb disappearing. Yeah.
Jimmy, do you feel that anything else happened? Did you have a missing time episode or strange time anomaly?
I do, and I don't know how much time you have, Mary. There's a ton of little details that happened since that event, right? And it's been ongoing. It has not stopped.
Okay.
Very important point. But it did after that, it telepathically communicated with me. I wrote it all down, right? I reported it to MUFON. They came out at a small investigation.
So that's fascinating in the sense of this is how really for many people this can be their first contact. What Jimmy is saying is he felt like someone had saturated every molecule of his being with 100% pure love after he had the experience. It opened his pineal completely. He said even to this day, He cries tears of joy thinking about it. It left him in a state, a residue where he's always connected, where he can see light everywhere, even with his eyes closed. He said the best way to explain it is living with natural DMT trip 24 hours a day is how it's affected him. He also explained his understanding from this, that light is consciousness. The world is a fractal of light. DNA upgrades are via light, he said. I now know what Tesla knew. Strange things have continued to happen. Lights flickering, bells ringing, a tornado of physical orbs appearing in his home. And I'm going to show you more of that in a minute, and something quite fascinating. But again, you can see as the orbs move, we're seeing frequencies with some of these. Again, orbs moving and the frequencies. As he said, his experience was the light came into his mind, realized that we were in the Aquarian age, understood Hindu cycles. He also understood the world is eternal, why all ancient cultures worship the sun. He understood what we see on Earth is the remnants of countless cycles. And he spoke to the blue orb and asked, are you all light? And the blue orb said yes. But part of that, of course, is what our military are observing as well. And the tangibility shows that they were very interested once he'd had his experience. And I will just let Jimmy explain what he noticed after this contact.
But after that, it disappeared. Right, so we had a chat. After that, it disappeared, and then the helicopters came. You hear about the black helicopters, right? Oh yeah. So the black helicopters came, right? So that's Now, interestingly, I'm a retired Black Hawk pilot, military pilot, right? So I know exactly what it is when it came over. I knew exactly what it was, and it's what we call an ARF, an ARF, an aerial reaction force, right? So there was 2 Black Hawk helicopters. Right over my home, totally blacked out. So they hit the kill beam switch.
So there you have it. He even recognized what they were. But what's fascinating is with the orbs still visiting and what's going on with that. And I want to show you something very fascinating that I discovered when I looked at this video of the orbs. This is Jimmy's home.
Oh my God.
This is Jimmy's home.
Oh my God, look at the internet. Turn around in the house and see where they're coming from. Jackson. That will come right out of the fireplace. They're coming out of me? Like, stand back and see if they're coming out of me.
No.
No?
They're around us though.
Yeah, they're around us. Yeah, see, what happens?
No, they're still here.
Yeah.
They're all over.
Yeah, what happens if they go right here? Anything?
A little bit.
Yeah.
They're coming through the window. It's like they're coming through the window.
Oh, cool. Well, good energies are welcome in the home. Positive, loving vibration energies. Absolutely.
As the video was panning round and you saw the window, as I slowed down and looked at each frame, I noticed in the corner of the window was this unusual shape. And I don't know about all of you, but it looks suspiciously like some form of being was actually looking through the window of this in this video. So they're around, not just in balls of light or orbs of light, I suspect. Sometimes they're also there in physical form. There's been some amazing stories about orbs of light, but one of the most fascinating was how some orbs intelligences have actually been part of the healing of individuals. And this one is by Jim Schaefer, who sadly died a short time ago, who allowed me to use his video to show this blue orb of light when he'd asked for a healing of a tumor. And he literally videoed this orb of light going into his body. And he said within 18-hour time span, he actually was healed. And he said he believed they wanted him to witness and record the event. He doesn't know why he was healed, maybe because of his unusual genetics, he's Rh negative, but he's been changed in the way that he's empathic towards animals and caring for the state of the planet. That's how he changed after the experience. Again, when I looked at the orb that he was filming and slowed it down in the film clip, I was noticing some really interesting frequencies. What are they? What are they showing? I'll leave you to work that one out. But it is interesting. Genetic modification producing a new human. Dr. William Brown, molecular biologist, in 2010 sent me this information. He believes that dormant genetic regions are being integrated into the biological system. It's happening in all of us to produce expanded awareness. Encoded within the atomic structure of the DNA molecule, it's more like remodeling of the genome to make dormant regions accessible again. Vast amounts of information and functional capacity is already there to store information. He believes that genetic modification is occurring in utero and producing new humans. The exponential increase in autistic, ADD, and indigo children, they have new genetic architecture, he believes, which allows them to see the world in a multidimensional fashion. I believe research would show dormant genetic regions are being integrated into the biological systems occurring in all of us to produce expanded awareness. Their brains are working faster, they have access to more information in the beginning. In the classroom, learning is much faster. I believe they know what is being taught. And there is more to that, I believe. The new human, as understood by a teenager, Zach of 16, who talks about his understanding. He said, the title fits because we're going into something new. The labels such as crystal, indigo, rainbow, not describing the person, but the person's expression of self, their frequency. The indigo has the warrior personality to break down a system that's wrong and needs change. Crystalline has the aura of love and peace, the healer, the medium bringing in the sight. The rainbow, the energy of the creator, leader, kingship personality, a vibrational difference. It's a term humans are using because of limited understanding. Those who call themselves these labels are just resonating to the frequency of those attributes, not staying with the status quo. Animals are changing too and are evolving. So this is happening on all level of sentience. ADHD, which Neil Gold here with his book, Close Encounters of the ADHD Kind, talking about his own experience, actually retranslates that as always dialed into higher dimensions. He writes in his book about his extra-dimensional world where he met the beings of light, and he has been symptomatic of ADHD, and he said, I'm not limited to the square template of the universe. I'm wired to a multi-dimensional universe. My internet browser can browse into chaos, be it on Earth or the multiverse. I can perceive hidden layers of order and make sense of it. And most folk without this supercharged browser cannot do this. So he understands it as operating on a far higher frequency with a greater awareness of our multidimensional realities. The new humans are coming in that our parents are being told are special. Kathy's mother here said that a voice told her that her children weren't hers, that her daughter gets important messages in ET languages. Her daughter has healing abilities, speaks healing words in these languages to purify water, which tasted differently after that. She said, the daughter said the languages are from a place outside the universe. The daughter has helpers who guide and teach her and help with humanity, with the awakening. So what is being shown to our children that we are not aware of. On these other levels where they go and are being taught by these intelligences. Some are taught how to pilot spacecraft, shown advanced technologies, work with consciousness, shown genetic engineering of different species, healing procedures, nature of black holes and wormholes, in other words, the physics of reality, to decode and understand scripts, symbols, and light languages, time travel technologies, taken on missions on Earth and off-world, taught advanced physics, to create non-polluting energy sources and environments. As this 5-year-old explained to his mum, I learn more on the ships than I do at school. These beings float, not walk, and become invisible. There are blue ones too, I've seen them in my mind's eye. This little child said to his mum, as she asked him if he'd had good dreams last night, he said, yes, Mum, I finished magic school. She asked, what did you learn? Everything, mostly science. I learned about space and gravity. Time controls everything, time controls all. My son says that a white light comes through his window and suddenly he's there at school. The present system doesn't understand us, Eli of 9. I know a different type of maths. Before I came here, I was doing light physics. I change light. I use light to make things out of light. All schools so far don't accept me. I need to go to a different school. I am different. I'm supposed to be different because I learn more and I learn differently than they do. I'm from a different star, different planet, different universe. I know I am a star child. I know more science and maths than are from here. I know how to build a portal. I know how to teleport. Eli speaks about his experiences. This is a 9-year-old child. An older teenager who defines herself as a hybrid is Marina, who at 16 shared this with me. She said, when we dream, we go to another dimension. One experience, she was in a spacecraft with other starseeds and teens. It was a classroom teaching consciousness, humanity, evolution, physics, geometry, how to levitate, to push your body via electromagnetism from the ground. I remember being taught how to move objects with my mind. Even if we don't recall the information, it remains with us, she said, until we need it. Taught quantum physics, geometry, frequency, vibration, and all mathematics. This is an image of her time on the craft in a classroom, she said. The classroom was huge, had huge windows to see space, ages 8 to 24 years, teachers, star guides, and were humanoid, teaching the relationship between pi and the Fibonacci sequence, geometry, numerology. She said, the drawing shows a moment. She replied to a question and they were happy for us to participate. They don't teach like an Earth school teacher. Their education is interactive, telepathic, creative, and joyous. They took us to the spacecraft around some beautiful places in space for us to enjoy. So we've got many now, like Marina, that are identifying with being a hybrid. And this is written about very beautifully in Meet the Hybrids by Miguel Mendoza and Barbara Lamb. What's in it, Jacqueline Smith is saying, is hybrids on Earth are to help raise frequency of humankind so humans can evolve and embrace their cosmic family. With major paradigm shifts taking place, humanity is evolving into a new human. This means the DNA of humankind is changing in ways which are allowing them to expand in consciousness. To be a hybrid is to be awakened, and this is what Zach, a teenager who spoke to me about his understanding, which he mentions in The New Human. Hybrids are expressing their consciousness through their DNA as a new human. They're part of the new human archetype we're evolving into. Labels don't matter, humans are evolving, and we express it in any way possible. It's in our DNA. There is scalar imprinted memories of all other beings in our DNA that has passed through, that we can express it in the new human template. Notice all other beings. We can express it in a hybrid form such as indigo crystal. That is the energy they're expressing, perceiving through their reality lens and what we are emitting. It's all interconnected. You perceive it as different if you wish to. Jacqueline Smith has almost completed her book, Coming to Earth as a Hybrid, and explains in detail her experiences with the star beings. The book, Star Being in the Mirror. My life has never been a normal life. It began when I was genetically altered by tall white Zeta masters. A cocktail of DNA of 7 star races. My talents and skills were enhanced. I chose to be a hybrid from a soul level. I consider myself a bridge able to share both human and star being point of view. I often felt I'd landed on another planet trying to figure out planet Earth's culture. I felt uncomfortable in my skin, as if I was wearing a costume human skin. And this is very common with many of the hybrids. They feel extremely different to most other humans, and feel they don't belong. Night classes, Jacqueline explained in her book, practicing sending thoughts to each other, taught to expand intuitive abilities, create images together through their minds, create energy balls with their minds to send to others in the class, create geometric constructs in the air which vibrated with neon colors and colors not seen by the human eye. They had sounds like music with these constructs, move objects with their mind, manifesting balls of light into whatever she chose it to be, such as cats and dogs of pure light that was a step to physical form, played with hybrid children and spoke with them telepathically. So they're connected to a lot of the hybrid children on board craft as well. With Marina, she said it was at 15, feeling of being a hybrid came to her again. She realized she had features no one else in her family had. She asked herself, from where did my genes come from? And feel and sense that ETs abducted her mum when she was an egg and gave her alien genetics. In other words, added genetics to give her the look that she has now. Here she is saying that there was an expansion of her psychic abilities, sensitive to other realities. And here she explains a bit about herself.
At 15 years old, I made my consciousness shift because I came here with a wake-up call encoded in my DNA to wake up at a determined point in my life, which is something that many star children can with. And so I started to experience memory recalls of extraterrestrial contact, extraterrestrial incarnations, my own star system connections or expansions, also great expansion of my own psychic abilities. I became highly sensitive when it was with the external reality. I will be able to read more strongly the people's thoughts. I will be able to read their own energy, to read their own emotions, to read their DNA. Their own genetics, their own connection to their star systems. And well, it can be very frustrating sometimes for star children because we are very sensitive. So I will recommend that if you pick up a negative energy, a low frequency energy, because you're very sensitive, I will recommend you that you not fight the emotion, that you do not fight that energy, because resistance is actually slowing down the process of getting out of that frequency. So ground into that energy and try to balance it, try to bring it into a higher frequency, try to transform it into love again.
Some wonderful advice there for those that are struggling with the energy of others that they don't connect to. Now Marina's talking about the kinds of hybrids she understands, and she's explaining there are many levels to different types of hybrid, and here she explains it to her understanding.
Hello, I am Marina, a 17-year-old lady from Spain, and about how I understand my hybrid nature. First I will share that I can identify at least 3 forms of expression of the hybrid energies on this planet. The first one is when a starseed incarnates in this planet. So first we have to understand that there are the 2 DNAs, the physical DNA and the metaphysical DNA. So the physical DNA will be the DNA that your parents from this physical plane, from this planet, gives to you. And the metaphysical DNA is the soul genetics. It's your own soul DNA. So when a soul incarnates the body, the genetics of the soul, the metaphysical DNA, mixes with the physical one. So when a soul that comes from another star system of a very high consciousness, of a higher frequency, incarnates into a body on this planet, he expresses more of these extraterrestrial genetics. He expresses a higher frequency structure of the DNA. You know, he or she actually expresses a DNA with more connected codons, with more connected genetics, you know. So it's actually a new, different structure. The codes of the DNA are more connected to the previous generations, and they're actually vibrating at a higher frequency and expressing more of the extraterrestrial DNA, you know. It's, specifically those who are more connected to the soul genetics, you know, Arcturus, Pleiades, Sirius, whatever.
So that helps us to understand that there is more to not just the physical side of this, but the metaphysical or the spiritual aspect that is coming in terms of the whole, how we understand the consciousness of who we are. Unfortunately, you can't see the purple one here, but anyway. Non-human intelligences, hybrid genetic programs. Marina is talking about some of the ones that she interacts with. She says that she's got a female Arcturian purple image. Unfortunately, can't see it there. She first saw her in dreams. The green being is a hybrid child, the genetic mix between her human DNA, grey, manted and Arcturian energy, which is this one here. The green being, the brown-eyed being here is a human Zeta. This is a Asani grey hybrid, and the long-haired male is a Pleiadian guide called Mako, and below a Zeta that she sees in her dreams that helps to provide the genetics between humans to create the hybrids opposite. This is, for me, very compelling when you get such detail and understanding from those that are now speaking about their hybrid nature and their connection to these star intelligences. And keeping on the theme of both hybrid humans and hybrids on board craft, here is a fascinating story from a mother and former air hostess that I connected with a few years ago. This wonderful lady talked about seeing a loving feline being, 3 meters tall, very thin, with a cat-like face, loving, and she saw her and felt her to be all like her mother. She felt very loving when she saw this being when she was a child. She had no fear of her. In her dreams, where in 2018 beings came to her room, she also connected with beings in a spacecraft, teaching her about spirituality, chakras. So she was getting interactions not just with this feline being, but also these beings that she's drawn here, that took her and taught her spirituality. What's fascinating, though, is this feline being, she didn't connect to any hybrid children at the time. She had a missing pregnancy, she believes. She and met this hybrid child in the physical just later. She said in 2002, she woke up believing she was at the doctor's. Close to her feet was a being with dark, huge eyes. She felt later a little ball on the right side of her womb, and as time passed, the little ball was gone. Very classic to the missing pregnancy, where someone can feel pregnant for a short time and then the feeling goes. I wrote about this in Awakening, where many of those having experiences have talked about their missing pregnancy. In 2008, leaving my hotel room, I saw a little girl about 4 or 5. She didn't open her mouth, but I could hear inside my mind her saying, "Mummy, mummy." I understood the child was looking for a mother, and I asked her, "Where is your mum?" Her face changed. She had a bigger She had big black eyes, her mouth looked swollen, and she could read my thoughts. I was so scared I ran away thinking she was a monster. And this is the drawing she did of this hybrid child that she saw in the hotel passageway. And then she said, the last time they took me to the spacecraft, they showed me hybrid kids, and the girl I saw in the hotel in 2008, she was bigger, like a teenager. I realized she was part of another race, but she was also my daughter. I understood she was a hybrid of the same race as the woman with the cat face I saw as a child. This feline woman sometimes brings her to see me or to play with my 6-year-old daughter. And this is where human children are playing with the hybrids. She was also told they're not allowed to abduct humans to create hybrids. Hybrids volunteer to incarnate to accomplish a mission. Once she knew this, she no longer felt a victim, and her panic and fear left her. It made sense that they were monitoring her pregnancies and that humans were being improved. What she also then came to discover was her hybrid daughter, the feline human, was also playing with her human 6-year-old daughter. My 6-year-old daughter knows her hybrid sister very well. I've witnessed when the hybrid daughter arrives, she comes close to her. When she's sleeping, my daughter sits on her bed and suddenly smiles and happily plays with her. I believe her presence somehow takes my daughter out of her body. I think my hybrid daughter may be about 15, but physically looks 12. Normal skin, eyes bigger with no white, jaw very different. She often comes with another feline being. Amanda also found that her eldest daughter sees this particular being, and her daughter said her hair is white, there's a blue stone between her eyes, she's tall with long fingers. She also showed her daughter a star constellation she called home. They were white with long hair, and the land was a land full of snow and ice. A joint experience with her husband, Amanda told me. They both saw this being in the bedroom. There were strange effects in the room, door moving, lights blinking. This is the being. The being looked 35 with silver hair, strange eyes. Out of his hands came 2 colors, blue and violet, and they both felt peace coming from this being. It was like he was sharing information and wanted to remind me. He was similar to the beings in this group I'd been with, talking to me with ideas, not words. And a color uniform, this color apparently is a color which represents their aura and mission, and their mission was to help the children. She was also told her 6-year-old daughter was a hybrid mantis, even though she was in human form. My husband woke me up one morning and told me the same thing, that our daughter was a hybrid mantis. My husband saw her out of body and just knew it was her. She also explained that her human daughter has 6 toes on her right foot, which she thought was significant. And her 6-year-old daughter is also immune, she says, to many viruses. She never has a cold or fever, shows symptoms and recovers quickly. She sometimes places a hand where it hurts and the pain stops, so she's got a way of healing. As the new children seem to be awake and aware, this is a very significant little anecdote that I'd like to tell you about a case in Brazil, where a Brazilian woman was described her experience of being immersed in a liquid and was very, very scared. She had not told anyone about this experience until she was given a picture from her nephew. Ian was 2 years old and drew this picture for her and said to her, "Auntie, they are healing you in this fluid. There is no need to be afraid. These are your friends." And this was the drawing that the little 2-year-old did of his auntie, where he explained to her why she didn't need to be afraid. This takes it to a whole new level, I believe. And not only that, many of the new generations, and including some of the older generations, are waking to their past life origins and other planets and dimensions. As Tracy Taylor mentions, my contact with non-human cosmic race of beings occurred Since before I was born, these beings were my family before I came to be in the earth domain, and I had a close relationship with them, which was continued after my birth. Here is a 8-year-old, picture of an 8-year-old, Paul, talking to me about his experience being on craft, where he said, I leave my physical body and I evaporate from my physical form into a mantid. So here we're hearing again the consciousness of the individual going into another form for a time and then coming back into their human form. He said it's a bit like steam. That's how it happens. You just think it and it's how it happens. I've heard many other stories from individuals that have told me that they've been in another form on board craft, their consciousness, that is. One mentioned she was a scientist in a Zeta form. And I said to her, how do you get back into your human body? And she described a ball of light, leaving the Zeta form and reanimating the human container. And this is something that also needs to be taken into account, the complexity of our interactions with these many intelligences, and what is going on with consciousness, because I believe this is all about consciousness, ultimately, far more than the physical aspects of this. This young person was explaining his first Earth life mission as a center seed. He remembers his previous body as an ET with the blue body. And here is the drawing of the being he was. And he's explaining here, I'm not sure now, I think this was a 10-year-old, 9 or 10-year-old. And he's explaining even, I asked him about the symbols on his leg, and here are the symbols. One means knee, the other one his roots, and also the center of the planet. Here's more of information from him. Oh yes, Zach was 10. He said he is able to connect directly to the core of the planet to heal pollution. This is a questionnaire I put together for children. As you can see, so much of it is highlighted with his experiences. He said he recalls choosing his mother and going through a portal to be born. His first, it said it's his first Earth life. He can speak light. The light language is triggered if someone needs healing to help them. Telepathy is a root patterns in his head. He speaks about beings that created this dimension, works with crystals, can see interdimensionally with his eyes open, mentions the power of triangles and invention of a power device using magnetism and water, awareness of many dimensions and timelines, and struggles to focus on one timeline where his physical body is. Center seed, he says, means the ability to heal the planet of its pollution, rebalance the environment for everyone, not just humans, but animals and plants. Here is another young child of 7 explaining through the drawing that is a drawing of his out-of-body state, his astral body. And he's explained it with, which is fascinating because he's got symbols here as well, and that's him. He said before he came to Earth, he was just a will-o'-the-wisp, a spirit angel form. I programmed my life on Earth and decided on my star mission and found myself in Mummy's tummy. His home planet is Elba. He's visited by beings that look like skeletons. He's incarnated as an animal as well as human at the time of the dinosaurs. He draws unusual symbols, visits other places beyond his consciousness, perceives energy fields, has traveled to the moon in another life. I can go to the 9th dimension, he mentioned to me, and his thoughts can affect lights. He also told me the Zetas he connects with, he said can't go any further than the 6th dimension, was his understanding. This is Hayden, 7 years old. Kaza, unfortunately you can't see her image there. Kaza is from Hong Kong. She now lives in Sydney. She told me her story some years ago. She believes she's from the 13th dimension and she's just like a light form. What happened here is we're talking about a walk-in soul, and there are many now identifying with that term. And this is another aspect of the complexity of contact, is there are those that believe that when they incarnated into human form, they took over a physical container that was being already at one point with another soul. And that soul choose to leave at a certain point, whether as a child or as an adult, and the walking soul comes in because the container is still functional. And there's an agreement, a soul agreement is how they understand it. And this is how Kaza understands herself. So the previous soul was given 3 months to live with an autoimmune disease, scleroderma. The doctor sent her home and said that that was all they could do. She asked for healing and was healed by the light beings. She said there was a bright light and the symbols in her head with love, and she was healed. She then had 2 more children, but on a 4th child, she had multiple near-death experiences. And that is when the soul from the 13th dimension walked in. She says that the 13th dimension is a place full of compassion, that she's just a light form in that dimension without a name or a body. Her kind do not have a body. They are like a block of energy that can turn into any form as you project onto them. She said that she's here as an intelligence to help with this planet's evolution, to help us understand our spiritual shift into our higher consciousness. She's part of that, and she's also does a great deal of healing. Her 2nd child said his friends have golden hair and sometimes look like a cat or a tiger, and he will play and talk with them. And he will see one of his friends pick him up and send him to school. The school is like a Star Wars school, he said. Kids there learn different things like healing with crystals or work with energy. So of course, it appears that her own children too are part of this upgrade of the new human. But the walk-in phenomena is a lot more common than people realize. And many people who've had a near-death experience or some major trauma may find themselves feeling like something very significant happened, and later come to the understanding that they are a walk-in. One of the interesting things from Amanda from Brazil, the former air hostess, said to me, I understand something was going to change soon. The being spoke about supporting Earth. In 2019, she went with other beings to a strange field. They were organizing and guiding them and her. She knew all of them. She understood they were going to work together. I didn't see human, just different kinds of extraterrestrials. They gave our group a beautiful uniform group, color purple. They talked about supporting Earth. And I already knew that I was part of them. I understood something was going to change very soon. The new human and their awareness, 51% believe they are an ET or part ET in the free surveys. 26% of them talk about upgrading of human DNA. 41% believe they were part of a genetic breeding program. 24% told their spirit or soul was at one time ET. 28% saw hybrid ETs on spacecraft. 63.45% believed that they had ET hybrid children. I will say that again. 51% of the 4,200 people surveyed believe they are an ET or part ET. This is the awareness and the shift manifesting. The new humans teach a new way of being human. My ET guides teach me different knowledge, so I can teach adults to help humanity to awaken, says this 9-year-old. The cosmic agenda. Lee Capitelli, wonderful young lady who has drawn here some of the beings that she interacts with and is in the new human. told me many years ago that being a homo novus, she said, is part of her role is to try and wake up humanity through drawings, music, sacred sites. She said, all born after 2000, 2001 are homo noeticus. They're literally the next step. They will be able to do things that Homo sapiens never dreamed of. And many are activated in their pubescent years. Lee Capitelli has also written her own book on her past life experiences and is very, very active in sharing more of her understanding of her awareness and the differences that these new humans are manifesting in their understanding and their abilities. It's always been fascinating to me in the older generations of what I belong to. A good friend of mine, Mike Oram, who lives in England, who's had interactions with light beings and many others, wrote the book, Does It Rain in Other Dimensions? What was fascinating about his story for me was that he was telling his mother at 4 years old, there will be a change in human consciousness. The energy is heading this way, and the essence of this energy is light. The energy will repair our DNA. It would make us complete and who we really are. That was what I was trying to tell my mother at 4 years old, and that is in the 1950s. So many of the generations much older were also having this awareness, this understanding that they are part of this activation and elevation of humanity's consciousness. Dr. Olson, who is an experiencer, who shares much of her understanding with her interactions with many different beings that she interacts with, including the mantis and many others. She was told it's not so simple as foreign DNA. It's a combination of genetically improved bodies in combination with souls from different places in the universe, incarnating in these improved bodies. The souls have different frequencies and vibrations depending on their evolutionary status, and that plays a role in activation of the DNA in that particular body. I believe we also have to take into account the collective soul of Homo sapiens. And this was very much what Marina, the young Spanish teenager, was also saying. We have to take in the metaphysics of this. This is not just a physical shift. Also, Dr. Olson explains 12 new groups of human activation. If my information downloaded is correct, there'll be 12 different main groups of new DNA people. It responds to the 12 different main groups of ET alien DNA donors, so 9 more to go. I do wonder what their different features will be and if they will be allowed to go public. There, our DNA is activated mainly via remote control and frequencies. So it's like putting a virus in a software computer program. When they are using their DNA, as long as they are alive, they will give off energy patterns that spread to their surroundings, almost like the flu or GMO genes, which contaminate via frequency patterns. So we have all these other frequencies coming in, as well as the activation that is happening, that's programmed to happen, as Marina talked about her activation in her teenage years, or activation of her awareness. We are getting also all these other frequencies coming in, as well as our interactions with the beings, as well as the frequencies coming from music, from star languages, from the artwork that triggers perceptions. All of these different ways we are being activated by these frequencies in whatever form, visually or in terms of feeling, sensing or knowing. All of these are activating, and including the children bringing in the higher frequencies, they also are activating the older generations of human. So it's happening on multiple levels, through multiple experiences, in however we are perceiving our reality, as well as being assisted by these intelligences. As we are activated and we wake up, we need a new operating system to help us understand what we are perceiving, as these children are already being shown a different kind of physics to what we understand on this planet. This child was 5, putting his meditation there. The mother said, I never taught my son meditation, but my son placed a pyramid and crystals in a configuration in front of him. He said that each corner of the pyramid represented specific feelings. He placed a clear quartz crystal bead ball on the point of the pyramid and said it represents love, and said that that is what he was focusing on during the meditation. A new way of being, and this was something he spontaneously created. 85% of experiences have psycho-spiritual transformation after contact, an extraordinary part of understanding what is happening after people are having these encounters or experiences. Spiritual, psycho-spiritual transformation. Dolores Cannon, everyone who is involved in looking at hypnosis and the quantum universe will love and do love her books, as I do. I was blessed with meeting her many times as a friend and colleague, and this is a picture of me and Dolores at my home where she spoke to my support group. What was fascinating is the information that I'm getting that is similar to what she was getting in her books. DNA has been expanded into 12 strands. And another wonderful gentleman who sadly is no longer with us as well, former Command Sergeant Robert Dean, who admitted he'd been on the spacecraft in its latter years, and while I was there was told Homo sapiens originate from 12 different species of non-human being intelligences. And he also said something very significant. You can't see it because my image is there. We are a species in transition. I have seen the future for humanity, and he said it is glorious. So this is really significant to me. Jimmy Jones is saying here, the world is a fractal of light, the future is bright. There's a shift in energy to a golden age. The shift began in June 2020, the age of Aquarius, and their artwork by Lloyd Canning, the experiencer, who's done some brilliant artwork to explain where we're going, the sense of why we're all here. What about the changes ahead for humanity and our planet? A 12-year-old explained to her mother and allowed me to share this. This is how she understands it from her connections. Everyone is moving dimensions. The higher self on this planet is trying to do this, even if the person is totally unaware. We will be in a more neutral happiness and harmony with the planet and each other. Everyone will evolve into a higher dimensional being eventually. No one will be left behind. It will vary in timings. This is happening throughout the galaxy. The shift is happening to all. Amy said her mission is to help people connect with the earth, to ground people and help them to connect to their higher selves. So here we have it. The generations, including our new generations, are all on one page when it comes to the shift into higher consciousness, the shift for humanity, the shift that is happening apparently throughout the galaxy. And it's all part of the evolution of our species. And ultimately, the results are going to be, as Robert Dean was told, glorious. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation. If you need any other information, then please visit my website or Facebook. Thank you so much for participating, and I hope that this provides you with a way of connecting some of the dots. Thank you very much.
Hello, Mary.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
Hi, guys.
That was brilliant. I really love listening to these lectures you do, and yeah, it's always amazing to think that there's all these beautiful souls on the earth now with this information, with this hope for humanity. We need these messages more than ever, don't we? I think they always say it's darkest before dawn.
I think there's this moment in time, particularly because the world is in such chaos. So many are really fearful, wondering what's going to happen. And yet it was all foretold that we would reach a point where things would need to be like this to wake people up. And so even although it's been very difficult and we've still got a way to go, I suspect, the wonderful thing with this has got people thinking about what's important, what matters. All of this has really shaken us up. And I think we need it as a species, but I hope that the children particularly have given those listening a sense of hope and a future, because I think that's what is really going to change things, is their understanding and their awareness. So that's what I think is the most important of all.
Out of the mouths of babes.
Yes, David, absolutely. Yes. As you know, the reason that I focused on the children is because they haven't yet been programmed out of their awareness. What a clarity from them that hasn't yet been altered or changed by
they're not embarrassed to talk about how they genuinely feel and what they think. We've got a question come in, Mary, from Tina. She says, Mary, have you personally had any experience of this connection to higher consciousness?
It's one I keep quiet a little bit, but I've had to own a little bit more of how I work. And I will say that I spent 3 years working with my multidimensional family.
Excellent.
So whenever I need some support or information, I just call in the team. I've been doing that on the quiet for quite a few years.
Oh, right.
Excellent.
It'd be lovely to hear more about that, but obviously understand with your professional work that perhaps you don't want to sort of give your own personal stories out there in the public. But
we'll get that more of my personal story, because Ray Hernandez, is having 4 volumes, and 2 of them are the science behind the quantum reality and how we can start understanding how our multidimensional selves operate. And then 2 books going to be on experiences, and I have finally told a little bit of my weird self in one of those books. And the only reason I haven't gone so public in it is for a number of reasons. Initially, is that you can be perceived quite differently once you talk about the non-human team and guides or teachers or whatever, and yet it has been invaluable in my work, because so many who have experiences are opening up multidimensionally. They're starting to see beings, orbs of light, energy fields, and what have you, and they can be scared by that. They can think either they're going crazy, or they're almost afraid that if they go there, that something will happen, perhaps something will scare them or whatever. And given the fact that a lot of my clients have sometimes had very high professional credentials, they're afraid that if it becomes known in their field, that they will lose their jobs or their livelihood. And I mean, I know many professionals, from lawyers, doctors, nurses to psychiatrists, that are having contact. It's very hard for them to own it because of the understanding in mainstream that as soon as you do that, well, you're either one of these weird psychos, you know, that psychic weirdos, you know, or, you know, you've lost the plot.
Yeah.
And the bottom line, you're all multidimensional. So my work, because of my training, I've been able to facilitate an understanding and to help them ground it and work with it in a way that isn't scary, that they can understand it. So I might as well just say that that's part of my work, because I do a lot of that.
Yeah.
A lot of it, in showing them how it works, and not to be afraid of the downloads, not to be afraid of having an ability to access these intelligences and to get information and understand it, because it's time. This is part of who we are.
Yeah.
So it's not that I've ever been ashamed of it in that sense. I've fully owned it and worked with it, but it's more about getting modern psychology to own the fact that we are more than our physical container.
Yeah.
We have multidimensional ability, and that it isn't all about what we can see, touch, feel, and hear, but we are, in fact, everything that we are as a being is a being of consciousness, not just a physical container. And that is why Ray is so passionate about getting the books out about validating this, because he's talking about consciousness. And this is what it is. You know, we all have a connection to that, and not just our own person, but to the spirit beings, angelic beings, elemental beings, you know, right through to the non-human intelligences that may be blue beings or lion beings or feline beings or light beings, coming from other dimensions, other realities, so when you get to that point, and I've been that way for quite a long time, you know, I need to be aware of this when my client walks through the door and says, well, I think I've been on another timeline, or I've been into another dimension, right? Or as you've got a 7-year-old talking about going through a portal to another reality, and he's 7, and he says he does, you know. So if I wasn't able to understand that and have an experience of how that works, I'm not going to be a lot of use to them. You know what I mean? So my job is to help them manage it in a way that feels comfortable and integrated, because now that's where we're going. So it's not like I apologize for it. In fact, it's been the most useful, if you like, part of my working self, because I know how it works, just like I think you two do quite well.
Yeah, it certainly does help. I think what does it Mark Sims say yesterday? He said there's a big difference between belief and knowing.
Yes.
And when you have that experience, you have knowing, and you can then you can really integrate it, can't you, and work with it. Definitely.
I think it's been important. And when I wrote the book Awakening, and I wrote about clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, channeling, overshadow, all that stuff that I've actually experienced, it's coming from my experience. So I know it works. It's not a theoretical thing for me.
Speak with an element of an authority about it, because you've experienced it. Ray is talking tomorrow, actually.
Yes.
He'll be on talking about his new work. And you've also got a chapter in Alan Steiner's new book, haven't you? Making Contact. Yes, which is on my bedside table at the moment. You've read it.
Yes, I've read it.
I'm currently working my way through it. It's fascinating.
Great book.
It's great work, And I've put, for the people on the call and on the YouTube live, I have dropped links to your books on Amazon for anyone who's not read them yet. Highly recommend them.
Yes.
They're fantastic.
We have another question. Rob and Lorraine in the UK. They ask, hi Mary, are you following the work of Eric Mitchell and his new documentary he is working on?
Oh, I'm not aware of that. So they'll have to fill me in. Both of those gorgeous.
Yes.
I was in the UK, so we had. I was very spoilt by them when I stayed with them. So I still want to thank them for that.
Oh,
yeah, they're lovely people.
Yes. I mean, if Rob or Lorraine want to actually talk, we can unmute you, and you can explain a bit more for Mary and anybody else on the call.
Yeah, I've just allowed him to speak.
Yeah, Rob, are you there?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
How you
Hey,
doing?
Mary.
Hi, Rob. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How's your daughter?
Oh, look, she's struggling in Sydney. It's really quite toxic, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's like another reality over there. So she phones me and tells me the latest death knell that's happening there. But this is going and happening across this planet right now. I think the whole thing is quite bizarre, to say the least.
Yeah. I'll fill you in a little bit with what Eric's doing. He is currently filming a documentary, and I think he's with the guys from UFO Garage. I think they're the ones that he's working alongside, but he's doing a lot of experiments, and one of them contains to how experiences have like burns to their bodies during contact experiences, but he seems to be on the path now that it's because of like positive and negative charges, and how they affect the blood, and it actually causes the blood to come to the surface and create these burn marks. That's one of his sort of findings, but he's also doing something else about him being able to transmit certain frequencies from his brain that they've actually recorded. So I'm really looking forward to watching that documentary. But I know that he was heavily involved with the creation of Free, if that's right, I believe, in the background. So he's
Yeah.
Sounds like one to keep an eye out for.
Hear that from Ray, who's a good mate of mine. And what I love about Ray is he doesn't mince his words.
No.
He doesn't pussyfoot around anything.
Yeah.
You know exactly where you stand with Ray, but he is a brilliant guy because he keeps moving, and he wants to take ufology into a completely different direction because he hasn't got a lot of time for lights in the sky anymore. To him, it's all about consciousness, and that's where we're going now. We really are over Roswell. You know that? We really are over it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just, one of the things that I will say that we discovered with Free was of the 4,200 people that had experiences, 75% of them had their experiences out of body. And that is really significant because you know how the ufologists want the tangible. They want, to see if they can bits of the craft or whatever. Well, the bottom line is most of the time you are in an altered state, you're out of body. So that's what makes it much harder to qualify and quantify in 3D terms. And it's time that the ufologists got the message that is why when people say I had a dream, it's not a dream. When they've said I've had a dream on board craft, it feels like that because they're either out of body or they're in trance. But it doesn't qualify that experience because it isn't in a physical. It isn't physical, and that's what people need to realize. Very significant.
Yeah. I read something just the other day this reminded me of that said the purpose of science is to explore the unexplained, not explain the unexplored. So
That's excellent, David. And one of the things, because I'm coming in from less of the researcher, more as the therapist, more of the support person, it's about being there non-judgmentally and not taking it apart, but hearing the experience. Because one thing that I've learned is there's nothing like experience to give you an understanding of something. It means far more than anything you can read in a book. it's like reading about clairvoyance and psychic abilities. Until you've experienced them, it's very hard to understand what that is.
Yeah.
You have to experience.
Yeah, that explains why, you know, we're seeing this rapid increase in these experiences, these multidimensional experiences, because you know, people are ready and it's time.
Yeah, it's definitely felt like things have ramped up massively in the last few years. So it's been awesome. Okay, thank you, Rob. We've got a question from Ian Tovey. Hi, Ian. He says, hello, Mary. Are you aware of any forces that are trying to dampen or restrict the global enlightenment? Interesting question.
Well, yes, I would have to say, because we live in a duality. The whole point is we've incarnated here to experience both the light and the dark, or the love and lack of love, as I put it, you know, to take it out of, we're here to experience both those parts of that duality. And it's certainly making itself felt as we are moving more into an awakened consciousness. We are experiencing even more of that as part of the challenge. And, you know, honestly, I think it's very important, if you look at this from a soul journey, we need to have those challenges if we're to grow. I mean, if everything was joyful, we wouldn't know what was not joyful, you know. And for me, it's what gives it the richness. The important thing, I think, though, is to remind people just how amazing and how powerful they really are. And that when they connect to their inner source, then, you know, that is you in your power. And we've all incarnated to challenge all of that and change it. So that's part of the adventure.
Yeah, we're moving away from fear and towards love, aren't we?
Yeah.
So it's worth remembering that.
I loved something you said the other day, that as the light grows brighter, the shadows come more into focus as well. I like that as well. Yeah, and more people will see what's wrong with the world and wake up to it, and it'll change.
It's an exciting time.
They're doing it, David, now. You know, because a lot of them have had time to think, been stuck in their homes, no longer on that treadmill. They've had to start saying, well, what's really important in my life? My mortality, I've got my children. What is not working? And I think that's what has been the bonus with a lot of this that's happening now, is it's getting people to really refocus on what's important. And I think I have never been so busy. I'm not sure. But seriously, there's so many people now that are taking time to work out what's going on and want to know what's going on. And that is really hopeful. So I think that, yes, it is dark at the moment. But I also, like you said, David, quite clearly, it's always darkest before the dawn. And I think it is what we're experiencing now.
I'm not too sure about the next question.
Joe says, what would the star people say about COVID, and does it have a consciousness?
Well, there was something that young lady did say about it. I'm just trying to see if I can find, very briefly, she mentioned the vaccination. I think I've got it here. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, I've got it here. Her name's Amy, by the way. She said this about the, let me just see. Let me see. Shift will be happening to a new kind of reality. At the very interesting, she said at the bottom here, I think, she herself comes from a different galaxy, and a galaxy far away. She was, I'm just trying to find where it is. Excuse me. She's warned there are some famous and popular people leading the spiritual world with many, many followers who are loving the attention and are not working for our best interests anymore. They are lowering our vibrations with their rhetoric and negative tales. So that's interesting about celebrities and people like that. She says the vaccines are not good, but not everyone who's had one will be affected, although many will. So there you are. And it may challenge the star seeds that are coming in that are more activated to work with their healing abilities.
Yeah.
That seem to be immune to a lot of things, and we're noticing that there are some that have more active codons that seem to make them immune to everything. Maybe where this will start to come in, with given the fact that we've got these, and I don't call them vaccines, of course, because they're not. They're gene altering products.
Yes.
Let's be honest here. Anyone who's done any homework is going to know that.
Yeah.
That is the big worry, is that they're not standard at all, and we've no idea yet what the impact of them will be. And I just urge everyone, whatever your perspective is, at least do your homework before you go there. That's all I will say on the matter.
Yeah, best not to stray too far down that path, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I've known some people that have taken it and said they've been able to do energetic work to neutralise it. And then, I've heard of some stories where people have been seriously ill on it. So, yeah, it's quite a mixture, isn't it? But yes, I think you've got to go back to saying, do your research and perhaps tune in as well to your own inner guidance. Yeah. That was all the questions we had. I had a couple I noted while you were talking. Going on to a different subject now. Blue was mentioned a lot. Blue orbs, blue lights. What is the significance, do you think, with blue? I mean, we can theorise that maybe it's to do with the chakras, but do you have a perspective?
Well, often when someone's taken up on the craft, they will say they get taken up in a blue light. So that obviously is a frequency. Maybe it's part of helping them go up into the craft or not. I'm not really sure. Certainly we talk about the indigos and the indigo children and adult children or adults that have this indigo energy field as well. We also have blue beings and beings that have that kind of indigo frequency. So it may be we're just looking at a frequency that is useful on a number of levels depending on their genetic makeup. It may be that that's what's needed to take somebody on the board craft, but also the genetic makeup of the indigos is that's their energy, that's their aura as well. So it may be we're trying to mix it all together when in fact it's a separate type of thing, which I suspect it is. But certainly there are many people that see blue beings, which usually herald from various star systems as well. So it may be attached to their star system. Yeah. So that's all I can say on that.
It's interesting.
Yeah, we see blue orbs a lot flashing behind us in meditation and stuff. Yeah, we kind of wonder if it's maybe an aspect of our higher selves or star family that are kind of joining in or getting involved. So
I think there might be a common denominator with the frequency, like you said.
Yeah, I like that. That makes a lot of sense.
It may very well be that you're connecting to your star family. I remember when I went outside, because when I go outside sometimes at night, I'll ask to see various orbs and what have you and call them in, and I've done that a few times. And I remember saying, I'd really love a nice blue orb. Would you like to show me? Literally within seconds of the next picture I took was this bright, brilliant blue orb and what have you.
Awesome.
So it's what I want to say is they're conscious that you, and as you know, that they are, I believe, us out of body when we're a light, and we may have different colors depending on our, where we're from or our awareness, something to do with our awareness as well. Could be a combination of both.
Yeah, it's a good way to get a family snap, isn't it? It's call your star family.
Photo bombed by an orb.
Yeah. One more question, if we may. What do you suppose, or do you think the star children would make of the frequencies heard on the handheld radios during contact work? As in Jimmy Blanchett's contact method, which I presume you're aware of. Do you think that perhaps the frequencies heard on these radios could be some kind of communication?
Oh, look, I'm pretty certain. I mean, we've done a lot of the EVP stuff. There's been a lot of different ways of communicating through tape recorders and all sorts of things. I believe that it won't be long before we are able to find the right frequencies for many of these intelligences, because after all, they're just a different frequency to us. That's all. If we can get the right frequency, then I think that we will have that kind of communication. But you know what? We can do it anyway. We don't need technology. We already have it.
Yes.
You know that.
Yes.
You know, why do you need technology when you can do it?
We've got the inner technology.
Yeah.
And as we get activated, it's going to become clearer, and our telepathy will get better. All these things that the kids are manifesting, we're going to be manifesting it too. Even if we are the older models, we just need that extra bit of activation to do that. But you know, the technology is secondary to us. We're the tech.
Yeah, I think it's more of a kind of a gimmick, I suppose, and perhaps more of a validation for people that aren't quite there yet.
Yeah.
For the general public to show, look, there's something going on that is anomalous. A bit like, you know, the work of free. It's like we know this stuff, but there's another, you know, purpose, which is to validate it. So I think that's why radios are used a lot in contact work.
Yeah.
I think there's a 3D part of us that likes the tangibility.
Yes.
And
it's fun.
But it you know, it's for us, for many people, seeing's believing. They have the eyes, they have to feel and touch it and whatever. So, you know, I get that as well. I do understand that. And I think that a lot of these new technologies are giving us more validation of this whole multidimensional, this matrix, this hologram, or whatever it is we've created between us. Start understanding it.
Yeah. Right.
Excellent.
Well, I think we've come to the end of our session now.
We have.
We have really. So yeah, we'll close it there. We just want to say thank you so much, Mary, for your time and all your effort and work with what you do with your books and helping all the star seeds that come to you. It's been a real honour and a pleasure to have you on our show again.
Yes.
And thank you to everyone that's joined in and participated. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah. It's been lovely to meet you again, and I really still remember our lovely meal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get back to some sort of normalcy. And oh, by the way, Rob, yes, please say hi to Dave, his brother as well, lovely gentleman who's a wonderful healer. So thank you both so much. You're doing a brilliant job, and really and truly so valuable what you're doing. So I want to thank both of you for your time and your commitment and your love to, you know, trying to help.
Bless you.
Yeah, they've got hearts of gold.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay.
Right, well, we'll close out as we did yesterday, just with a quick reminder to
all
people.
The best.
Thank you, Mary. We've got Ray Hernandez tomorrow at 7:30 British Summer Time in the evening, and then Deb Shakti on Friday. Who'll be channeling the Star Teachers for us, which we are very looking forward to.
Yes.
And then Saturday we have an open invitation to join us on Knapp Hill in Wiltshire for what is going to be the UK's largest ever CE5 gathering.
Yeah, and so tune in if you want to. We're going to live stream it. You might want to watch as well, Mary. Send your intentions. That'd be great. It's going to be a magical evening, I'm sure.
Yes, I can't wait.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for people that want to experience the virtual reality campus that Mark Sims has kindly offered to people during this 7 days, you're welcome to tune into that. You can just send a request in. We'll put the URL up on our site probably, so
on
you
our
can
website.
On our website, multidimensionalshow.co.uk, and you can find it on there.
Yeah, we will be running some groups and stuff in the future within the campus.
Yes,
so we're looking forward to using that,
bringing the community together around the world.
Yeah. Right, well, I'm going to close up. Sorry, Mary.
I just wanted to add one more thing. The book Both my books you can get from Nexus magazine in the UK, by the way, if people didn't want to use Amazon.
Oh, awesome.
Right, okay. Nexus magazine. Excellent. In the UK.
Excellent.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you for that.
All right. Well, we'll close out as we did yesterday with a video with some footage of people making contact, and we thank you everyone for attending.
Yep.
And we'll see you tomorrow for Ray's presentation. Thank you again, Mary.
All the best, Mary. Bye-bye.
My name is Mark Benz, and this is Rex, and we're in Bodega, California, and we're doing CE5.
My name is Jeff Bird, and here in Winchester, Virginia, USA, we are doing CE5.
My name is Peggy Brewster, and here in Middleton, United States of America, we are doing CE5.
We have 1,150 teams of CE5 ambassadors, which are spread over 52 countries.
My name is Andre, and here in Sweden, we are doing CE5.
Und wir machen zusammen CE5 in Deutschland.
Here in Burlington, Ontario.
Brisbane, Australia.
From Chester, Virginia.
In Hamilton, Ohio.
We are doing the CE5.
Konnichiwa.
Moje ime Daniel.
Donia tu na Slovensku.
Es Leo Ortiz.
And here in Vancouver, British Columbia.
CE5.
The CE5 context mas.
CE5.
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 We're doing CE5.